Hi, and welcome to Underground Video Network. Mike here. As always is Richard, and
Hello.
we've got a special guest with us. This is Jared. Jared works at Alter Ego Comic Books. Jared, good to actually get you in front of the camera. Jared's normally back there when we're shooting the show.
Yeah, I'm usually watching the show.
What brings the backup, you might ask? Well, it was the series, not the season.
The series.
The series finale of Smallville was just last night. That's how important it was. The next day, we got to get it while it's fresh.
The end.
The end.
Yeah.
No cliffhangers, no to be continued, the end. So, hang around and we'll let you know what we thought. So, series finale of Smallville. We've got 10 years worth of history to barely, I don't even know if we're going to be able to scratch the surface of it, but the finale was last night. What did you guys think?
It was a good way to end it.
Yeah, I loved it. It was very good.
Yeah.
It's very cinematic.
Yes.
I was really impressed that they went with a cinematic
Ending.
take on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for 10 years, the last 5 minutes of the episode alone made the last 10 years of watching the show worth it. Not the show, I love the show. I love the show, but it was like that last 10 minutes, that was what we've been waiting for since day one, and it was well worth the wait.
Yeah, the show was good. The show kept my attention for 10 years.
Oh yeah.
And to lead up to that finale.
I think the big thing to keep in mind when you think about Smallville is it's not DC continuity.
Right.
I think that's what turned a lot of people off from the get-go, was once they realized this isn't the comic book. This is its own. Jared came up with the expression. We loved it.
Well, me and one of our customers, Al Girding, came up with this. We call it Earth CW.
Or see,
It just fits.
it fits. It really does. If you know anything about DC continuity, you know there's 52. It really did. Earth CW. It's like it really did. Once you got over the fact that it wasn't continuity for the comic book, you either loved it or hated it. I loved it. I was able to move past that. It's like, oh, he didn't do that in the comic book. No, it was its own entity, and it worked for what it was.
But I will say right from I didn't like it from the beginning.
Yeah.
I was one of the few year that after the first year I just kept watching it, and the only thing that brought me back was Lois. So I'll be the little bit on the opposite side for the first part of the years.
Yeah, in 10 years, there were pros and cons to the show.
Yeah.
No matter how diehard of a fan you are, there was episodes you loved, episodes you hated, parts of episodes you loved and hated. It was just the way a show of 10 years works.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that had to do with the diversity of writers they had on the series.
Yes.
Yeah.
One thing we mentioned when we were talking earlier is the idea that when the concept of the show first started, I don't think nobody planned on it going 10 years.
No.
Mm-hmm.
It was all the concept of Smallville was Clark Kent on the farm, growing up in high school.
At Smallville High.
In Smallville High. So we had a maybe 3-4 year expectancy. So this was, the no flight, no flights, no tights was kind of a tunnel vision for those 3 years. And then after the third, fourth, fifth years, like,
which was actually good for that first part of the year.
Yes,
because
it
they
was.
had an idea that he was going to graduate, he was going to leave high school.
Right.
This was going to be year to year to year, and that's how they was going to handle it, which was a good way to handle a high school dramedy,
Yeah. And then the only thing is, though, it kept going, which was great.
Oh, yeah.
But then they finally realized, well, that tunnel vision we had for our initial run isn't going to work anymore. The original no flights, no tights ain't going to cut it no more. And they had to branch out.
And then the producers stepped down.
Yeah.
And they brought in new producers.
Not that I didn't love their work, but I think them leaving the show opened both doors.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it did.
yeah.
It opened both
Very much
doors.
did. After they left, they brought in, Azad.
Yep.
They brought in Doomsday. They brought in
Yep.
Darkseid, Metallo. And they brought in some really great villains.
It was kind of like the parents leaving the house, the teenagers alone in the house for the first time. It's like, okay, now we get to do what we want to do. The rules are... And over the last 10 years, I had just so many... God, the cameos...
The cameos have been great.
The cameos, especially like you said, after the original producers left and then opened the doors.
Yeah, I believe Carrie Fisher was actually on the show once. Princess Leia.
Yeah.
I think she was on there. We had Christopher Reeve.
Oh,
we had Dean Cain.
Dean Cain.
You know, we had
Terry Hatcher.
Terry Hatcher. Thank you. Couldn't think of her name. There was just so many. Margot Kidder. Sorry.
Yeah. When you watch the Margot Kidder episode, you have to watch toward the end to see if there had a Margot Kidder Wrangler credit. Just for the fact that there was somebody standing by with a lasso and a prod, like, okay, she's starting to get that crazy look in her eye. I love Margot. I love Margot Kidder.
She's great.
But yeah, the Christopher Reeve. Oh God.
Yeah.
But like I said, it ties the Superman. It brought in other stuff from the other Supermans
Yes.
that had come before, which was a nice touch. Like you said, all these little guest appearances. Stuff.
Right.
It kind of made everything a whole and made this a centerpiece for this time frame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For being a story outside the normal continuity, the way they tie in continuity from the comic books for the fanboys was a nice touch. The people who wrote the episodes were fans of the Superman mythos.
Yeah.
And a lot of the writers are actually writers of comics.
Yeah. I didn't realize this, but Jeff Loeb actually wrote Legacy in the third season with Christopher Reeve as Dr. Swan.
So I think this helped a lot because it brought that comic book feel, especially after Lois came in.
Yeah.
I felt the comic book feel a lot more because that's like when I started watching it, and it felt more than the first season.
It felt more, toward the end, it felt more like the DC universe than it did just the Smallville universe.
Yeah, it did. It very much
especially with the introduction of the JSA.
Correct.
Which was awesome.
Which was Gary's favorite.
Gary's favorite. Oh, yeah, that was Dr. Fate, Stargirl,
Hawkman.
Yeah. That was the other thing that was great about Smallville is that a lot of complaints that people sent us about the show was the lack of Wonder Woman and Batman, which understandable.
It would be cool to see Bruce Wayne, but
we didn't need it.
Yeah,
it was strong on its own, and I liked that. Smallville was almost kind of like 52 in that it took lesser known characters.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not that they weren't great characters to fans, but lesser known to the general population, and really pumped them up. Like Dr. Fate. Average Smallville, demographic 18 to 30 might not know who Dr. Fate was, but the way they handled him.
Dr. Fate was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, if you didn't know who Dr. Fate was before Smallville, you probably were looking him up after the episode.
Yeah.
Along with Hawkman. Hawkman's one of those characters that was like, everybody knows who he is, but nobody really, I'm sorry, cared too much.
Yeah.
But it was just like, Hawkman's awesome!
Yeah.
And let's go
Smallville's
again.
take on him was very good.
Oh, yeah. Along Aquaman. The introduction of Aquaman, Arthur Curry. Aquaman is such the whipping boy of the DC universe. He deserves more credit than he gets, and Smallville gave it to him.
Yeah.
And actually, he even got his own little try.
Yeah.
The pilot was actually designed from the Smallville.
Right. What was it? It wasn't going to be called Aquaman. It was like
something else.
Happy Harbor, or it was.
But it was
Cove.
Aquaman.
Yeah. Which was funny that Justin Hartley, who goes on to be Green Arrow, was Aquaman.
So it was good.
It was good, yeah.
It was a shame that it was just distributed through iTunes, but
Yeah.
And on one of the DVDs, wasn't it, as a backup feature?
Yeah, one of the animated had it on there. But again, lesser characters, Green Arrow. They took Green Arrow, who really is one of my favorites, and they put him center stage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For years with Clark, and it was phenomenal. I loved Justin Hartley's. That was the first thing was another complaint about the show was the costumes and their different takes on it. I love the Green Arrow. Green Arrow.
It worked.
It worked. It really did.
It looked more like the newer take on it and stuff.
Right.
So it did stay away from the old little mask and stuff, but it was good. And Black Canary.
Oh, Black Canary.
Black Canary was good.
Black Canary was good. I wasn't the biggest fan of the way they did her. Again, pros and cons. I wasn't the biggest fan of the way they handled her.
Yeah, it didn't work.
The spray paint mask.
But I liked her. It worked. It worked for me.
Yeah.
Supergirl. We got to mention Supergirl.
She.
Yeah, how they handled her too. It worked.
And I like how they did the modern Supergirl version more than the older version.
Yeah, they made it that she was sent to be his guardian and caretaker, and
it came a little late.
And the roles got reversed. He ended up having to take care of her. Another little cameo that got introduced pretty late was Connor.
Yeah.
I loved.
Yeah.
Didn't get as
Great
much
choice.
attention as it. I would love to see more episodes, but the way they handled it, Connor.
Yeah, that was good. I loved it.
Yeah, had the look. The one episode where Tess is getting ready to put him out of his misery, and the needle bends on the skin, and that was the great thing.
I knew right away. Yeah, I knew right away what they had done.
That was the great thing about Smallville was their cliffhangers.
That was great.
Oh, even if you didn't like a lot of the episode, Smallville had some of the best cliffhangers.
Season to season.
Season to season, yeah.
And tied it all together. And that's what really helped, I think, when you come back to the next season.
Yeah.
Like you were saying earlier, one of your favorite cliffhangers.
My favorite cliffhanger was probably season 4 going into season 5 with the building of the Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah.
They were standing in the cave, and he's got the 3 crystals combined, and he just gets transported to the Arctic. I mean, right there, you're like, whoa, they're actually going to do this on Smallville.
Yeah.
I really wasn't expecting that.
That opened up a whole,
really
it's like, this is like a good point. It's like, this is where we're going. We finally acknowledged what the fans want to see, and we're giving it to them.
Yeah.
And it looked straight from the movie.
It did.
Oh, it was great.
That was the best part.
It was the best part about Smallville, too, is because they acknowledged the movies and the comic books with so many little hidden gems.
Oh,
Yeah.
It was just, it really worked. And, like I said, to me, it was one thing, then it became something else. That's how I looked at it. And that's what brought me back.
Yeah, it evolved. Like you said, I think the turning point for it was when they Lois Lane.
Yeah, season 4. I would say the first 3 seasons, they were, after the 3rd season, where do we go from here? Season 4, they brought in Lois Lane. They had some really great episodes during that season. And then the season ending cliffhanger with the Fortress going into season 5. You've got a lot of great episodes there. You've got the episode Reckoning. It's where Clark's dad dies.
Oh, God, yeah.
I mean, going into season 4 and 5 were probably the best Smallville seasons, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Barring season 9. Season 9 was my favorite.
I gotta say,
the
same
season
here.
9, they had the Absolute Justice. They had the zombie episode.
That I liked.
They had Zod, which Callum Blue, is that right?
No, Callum Blue wasn't he?
I have that. No, that was the guy from
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
You're right. I think it was. Yeah.
I think it was Callum Blue. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right or not, but he was an excellent actor, great Zod, portrayed Zod perfectly in my opinion.
Oh
And even made a guest appearance in season 10, which was another great episode. Then you've got Metallo. I cannot think of the actor's name.
Brian Austin Green.
Thank you.
If you'd have told me that the little blonde kid from 90210 was going to be one of the uber Superman villains, really, no.
He was awesome with
he was awesome.
Yeah.
Just the way they handled him and Brian Austin Green.
Yeah.
But it worked. It was just like, wow, you really, you pulled it off.
Yeah.
The other little highlight for me was getting Terrence Stamp to be the voice of Jor-El.
I'll have to agree with you on that. That was great.
Because it was, hopefully you know where we're going. Terrence Stamp was Zod in the original Superman 1 and 2 movies.
Right.
He was Neil before Zod. He embodied it. And then to hear him as Jor-El, first of all, was just like, oh, they're just doing it to,
But I think they did. That's what they were trying. But it really worked.
It really worked.
Terrence Stamp had a commanding presence on any movie.
Which kind of leads me to the other highlight of the show for me was Ma and Pa.
Yeah.
That was, I've read Superman, I've seen every incarnation from here to the eternity. I'm probably going to get slack for it. Smallville's Ma and Pa were the best Ma and Pa to me.
But I thought it was really funny at the beginning because Lana Lang is...
Yeah! See, it was the whole thing with like Terrence Stamp. It was almost like if you saw from the outside, it was almost like, are they just doing it to be catchy, to be,
I think they did. They actually, I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
But it worked. That was
it. It really did.
Pulled it off.
It's like you think they're doing it for the wrong reasons, just to snare people, but it's like, they really work, And Annette O'Toole and John Schneider were just incredible.
Well, it goes back to the movie in a way too. Remember the Lois Lane from the old TV series?
Yes.
Was Lois Lane's mom, and then have Terry Hatcher become Lois Lane's mom. A lot of these little things were done before, but yet a lot of people might not even know this. But it really works the second time around, or even the third time around.
They know what the fans like, and they acknowledged what the fans like without.
The Easter eggs, they're there.
Yeah, they weren't being obvious for just to get credit for it. It was just subtle little things here and there, and
she's a great actor as in the mom.
Yeah. Another Perry White, Michael McKean.
Yeah.
Which if you're as big a movie nut as I am, the fact that Michael McKean and Annette O'Toole are married in real life, and to have him as Perry White, you could almost see Annette O'Toole like sweet talking him after dinner one night. She's like, we're looking for a Perry White, but again, it worked.
Yeah, all this works. That was the best part of this whole thing. It all just worked.
It really did. It really worked, and I think it's the perfect time to go into the finale.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, yeah. He's got to go.
He's got to go work now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
He's got to make the money. I can't go on enough about the finale. I loved every bit of it. I love the finale. We're going to tell you right now, spoilers.
Yeah.
We're not going to hold bar. I can't hold this, and I just so much about it just really tickled me. The way they handled Jonathan.
Oh yeah.
Being there, it was
I don't know. It worked.
It worked for me because it was one of those sweet moments where, how do I put this? I lost a parent, and it was like it was one of those relatable. That's what made something so fantastic about a show like Smallville relatable was the passing of a parent and how they handled it in real life, and then when it was at the wedding, it was a special moment for me because I was, you can't tell from the Smallville shirt, I'm a geek, but I was lucky enough to get married here recently, and the scene in there where they showed Ma, and Jonathan was there, was very emotional for me because it was just like, oh, that's, it had that, it wasn't just fantasy.
Right.
There was real, throughout the entire series, there were real moments.
Yeah, the whole thing with him trying to give up his past.
Yes.
Was because a lot of people do it.
Yeah.
They just totally give up their past, but yet at the same time, they were trying to make sure that Clark didn't lose his past.
Right. Speaking of that, I think if there's one word that sums up the entire 10 years of Smallville, it's destiny. From the first episode to the last episode, it was never about Superman. It was always about Clark Kent's destiny to become Superman. And I think that the finale really...
Oh, yeah.
I love the way that they showed Lois's doubts about getting married.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And she had valid reason. It wasn't just a whim to throw in the show to add some drama to it. I mean, from her point of view, she was afraid to get married to Clark because she was afraid that she was going to take time away from him being the superhero he was going to be. The Blur, yeah.
Because he was trying to become a hero.
He was
working at that, but like you said, that being married to her, probably he wouldn't have the time, and it was like a military style wedding. Like when you're married to somebody and they go off to war, and you're left behind. I think and she was a military person, so she already kind of knew this in her mind.
She had that mentality. So
it works. It worked.
There was a great tender moment with the two of them. I love the scene with the two of them behind the door. She wants to get married and she's got the dress and she can't be seen. It was just such a sweet moment with the turning around that I really enjoyed it. I like the way the one thing about the wedding for those that know that I didn't like. Why didn't we see more of the cast in the wedding? Like the JLA.
None of them was there.
Nobody was there.
Except for Green Arrow.
Except for Green Arrow. They couldn't have gotten the guy that played the Flash, like he was too busy. It was just. I'm sitting there looking at the crowd.
It was kind of contrived.
Exactly. It's like they knew the wedding wasn't going to happen, so they didn't put much effort into it. Because I'm sitting here watching the crowd in the audience. Who are these people? Why would they be at Lois and Clark's wedding? That was my beat.
Yeah.
Like I said, we take the good with the bad.
It was written for the story.
It was written for, yes, exactly.
I'm sorry, it was.
It was written for the story. It's like, spoiler, the wedding doesn't happen. So,
Until a few years later, hopefully.
But they did explain it a little bit because of the importance of the wedding to everybody. They explained that the JSA was out protecting
The world.
the world.
And even Lois's dad got called away.
Yeah.
There was something going on big, and
Nobody thinks anything about it at first until the
Yeah.
big Death Star appears in the sky. And then, Lois made the connections. Like, the general would be here unless something monumental happened.
Yeah.
Oh, something monumental is happening.
and everything was taken. Yeah, just watch the story. It's a
Yeah.
little confusing to explain if you don't want to.
Yeah.
But it really worked. Everything worked. It was there. It was done. So.
Yeah. The season finale brought back Michael Rosenbaum as Lex Luthor, which was one of the great. Hey, look back.
I'm back.
I got the relationship going all the way back to season 1. The relationship between Clark and Lex. When you first heard, the show's coming out and Lex and Clark were going to be friends, you're kind of like, it worked.
It was really good.
It worked. The line Lex says at the season finale is people aren't defined by their friends; they're defined by their enemies. Made the last 10 years, for the time Mike was still on the show.
Well, it goes back to the beginning.
Yeah.
It really goes back to the beginning.
Yeah.
It goes back to that very first episode.
The greatest enemies were always the best of friends, and it really.
And then that little whole thing with the TV set and the Daily Planet at the end.
Yeah.
Oh,
in
yeah.
2018.
You want to talk about tying in the show with the comic book, because it was alluded to in like season 4 or 5. It was the woman who had the future powers. She could see the future.
Yeah.
Season 1, where she could see the
That was the first
future,
season.
and she saw the white-suited Lex and the rain of blood over the. Great way to tie it in, and also because of the storyline with Lex being president in the comic books, it was just a great.
Yeah.
The season finale was the perfect tying in point. It took all the strings you could think about and really tied them together.
Yeah.
But it still left a lot open.
It did. It left a lot open.
Which DC, stay on to this. You can run with this.
Yeah, like we asked people who watch the show to give us their little nods. Jeff Smith had a very great idea. He says that they hope that they do a Smallville season 11 comic book like they did Buffy and Dollhouse.
That would be great.
I would buy it. Yeah.
Yeah, they did with all of those.
CW, Smallville, I'd
That
buy
would be
it.
Great, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd have to agree with Jeff on that.
Smallville has been in comics,
Yes.
so
it
they could tie in.
Oh yeah. And I bought them. They didn't. Unfortunately, they didn't last very long. But I think now's the moment for it, DC.
Yeah.
It's like you've had the fans' appetites wet. The market's there. Get on
He's
it.
got the costume.
He's got the costume now. Yeah. Which was the other highlight of the season finale. Or
Yeah.
The series.
The series.
I'm in denial.
It is the
keep
season finale too.
It is the season. I'm still in denial.
You're
I'm
not
still.
wrong, though.
Yeah. Was the costume. We finally, in a roundabout way, I think it was clever the way they did it.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, I've heard some people say, I wish we could have seen Tom Welling in the full suit, head to
Head
toe.
to toe.
But
just
that was
wasn't-
kind of...
It would have taken away from Smallville.
I think it would have. I think it would take some away, and it'd take away from the imagination, So, like, at the very end, when he rips his shirt open and you see the costume on him, I think that sums up the best way the
Yeah.
show could.
Again, like we said, the finale was phenomenal. The last 5 minutes, 5-6 minutes,
Oh,
Yeah.
where they're in the Daily Planet, and it is, God, it was amazing.
I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah. Damn you, Jarrell. It just the having the kid that played Jimmy.
Yeah.
to be actually Jimmy.
Had to be,
Or James.
The James,
Yeah,
that's
they
why
did the James.
they set the last 5 minutes is set 7 years into the future, which pretty much establishes the Superman universe.
Yeah, where Clark has gone from the time that he, got rid of Darkseid to where he is now. He's working at the Daily Planet. They're, reestablishing their relationship. I don't
They
wanna
answer
give
the-
too many spoilers for people who.
Oh, go ahead. This is we already
No,
said.
we've already
We
said.
Oh, okay.
If you're watching this, you've seen it.
Yeah.
Okay, good. You know how they're going to get married now, and it's been 7 years later. I think a lot of fans are happy with that. That he's actually Superman.
See, I
marrying
questioned
Lois
at
Lane
first
instead
too.
of the Blur.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
questioned at first too why. I understood why the last 5 minutes took place 7 years in the future. I got that, but why they were just now getting married? But it was like you said, because the fans didn't want to see Lois marry the Blur. They wanted Lois to marry Superman.
And I could have gone either way myself, but I could see where they're coming from.
Mhm.
To me, it always was back in the day. Lois fell in love with Superman basically before Clark.
Yes.
I mean,
And then
we're
Clark
talking
kinda
old
loved
Earth 2 style.
Yeah.
Earth 1, a little bit.
Mhm.
It was always Lois was in love with Superman. Clark always lost,
Right.
and that was never played out in none of this. That's the only
Yeah.
little part of my whole thing. I always liked that part.
Yeah.
Because Clark was the underdog.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And in this series, he was never technically the underdog.
No.
And that's my little peeve of the whole series,
Yeah.
where we're moving on where there was some faults.
Yeah.
And that was one major fault I always thought. But that was just my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Superman. They could have done anything with this,
Yeah.
I mean, you've got 42 minutes on a Friday night. What can you do during that 42 minutes that's
Entertaining.
yeah.
Yeah.
And this isn't really set for the comic book people. They were trying to shoot for
The
above and beyond.
Yeah, the larger demographic.
Which, to the most part, that's what they achieved.
Yeah.
I think they actually achieved that.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too, because I know plenty of people who aren't regular comic book readers, at all, that do enjoy Smallville, that still have enjoyed Smallville.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just because it was Superman. It was a good story, and it was a fun show. And it's
I liked it. I did like towards the beginning. Each season, he would kind of learn a new superpower.
that was
Oh, yeah.
Like the first one, he did his X-ray vision.
the X-ray vision episode was brilliant.
It
'cause
was.
It was just like it was really how would a normal person would react to all this, and they handled it perfectly. Because what's the first thing he did is he focused on the girls' locker room.
Yep, that was great.
And you can't tell me there's not a brother out there that didn't think the same thing. Like, yeah, I'd do it. I'd
Yeah.
still do it. Yeah.
Agreed. Season 2, he got his heat vision.
Yeah.
And they're rationalizing how his heat vision works was great.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I love that, and I think that's actually transposed over into the comics now with Jeff Johns' new Superman Secret Origin.
Yeah.
I have to go back and reread that.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it was.
Since
Yeah,
I've
I
read
think
it.
it was.
Which, if you'll notice, if you're a fan of the show, watch any show, you're probably saying to yourself, "We're doing a season, a series finale of Smallville, and yet Mike hasn't really begun to bash Kristen Krug." It's because we're remembering the good. I said we're going to take the good with the bad, but I didn't say we're going to take the good with the horrible. So just for fan real quick, I still hate Kristen Krug. I still think she almost killed the show. She worked for a season or two. Then she was slowly sucking the life out of it. So how many times can you look into the camera and do this?
First 2 seasons, she was
First 2 seasons. I
After
liked her.
that,
I
she
liked her
was-
in the high school setting.
Yeah, the cheerleader, the popular, and then where Clark's the geek and trying to get the girl.
Yes.
That worked for them.
But she didn't have red hair, sorry.
Yeah.
That was
you know.
one major thing that threw me off about the first year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lana was not Lana.
No, she wasn't Lana. And
Nothing against the characters or actress herself, as Mike gets a little more into it. It's just that's not the Lana character that I
No,
knew. And I was a big Legion of Superheroes fan, and that wasn't the Lana that was part of the Legion or wasn't part of Superboy's history. It just was different. It was too different for me.
I am so glad she wasn't in the series finale. I'm sorry.
She had the little flashback.
Yeah, that was. I tell you
That
what.
worked.
When you know the show's ending, you know there's going to be the flashback. You know the flashback part to see all the.
She was a big part of the show.
She was. I'll give her that.
quite
We can't not
quite a while.
show her, but the way they handled the flashback was brilliant.
I thought they were great. Loved them.
So did I, because after so many years of hearing Jor-El kind of berate Clark for not being who he thought he was going to be, for Jor-El to kind of give Clark his best of, it's like, this is why I'm proud of you. You know, because Jor-El could have showed him a lot of bad stuff, but he showed him all the highlights of Clark's transformation from, you know, like you said, nerdy Clark to
The Blur
the Blur.
and then beyond.
Yeah, it not only fit for the reason, but it really, it was a nice, sweet touch. You know, it's like, we're finally seeing that Jor-El was proud of his son, and he's showing him, you know, here's everything, here's all my reasons why I love you, kid. And then again, I can't go on enough about having John Schneider actually being the one to hand him the costume. He was handing, you know, this is, you know, the father handing the son. Like, oh God, it was just.
It was a legacy type thing.
Yeah, and if you want to get picky about like he's dead and if he's a ghost, blah blah blah, I don't care. I loved it. I loved.
It was cinematic.
It was cinematic, yes.
It was great.
For that moment, was it far-fetched even for Smallville to have that moment where Clark was talking, having the fun? Oh, it was still
think so.
beautiful.
Like I said, it was for what it was.
Yes.
You know, that whole part, it was the wrap up. It was progression into him becoming the
Right.
hero that he's supposed to be and stuff, you know.
And to not have Paul Kent do that would have been wrong.
You know.
You know, to just have the, you know, like I said, just to have the costumes, like Jor-El will be like, look, here's your costume, go put it on. But no, to have Jonathan Kent, oh man, it was beautiful.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was a fun 10 years.
It was a good, fun 10 years. We asked people, like I said before, we asked people to give us their take on the show.
We'll probably have most of these put up on our Facebook page.
Yeah.
We're going to have little notes after this episode is broadcast up. Mike's going to give me most of the stuff. We'll have them post up with notes so you can read most of these yourselves.
Yeah, Justin, if you're watching, I well loved and appreciated the letter. As you can see, we've already gone farther.
So read it. It's going to be on
Yeah.
our Facebook page.
But
Go
there
read
were
through
some
it.
things that, like Justin, we know, like we said, we wanted people to give us the good and the bad. One of the things that Justin mentioned that he didn't like about the show, and we're going to be fair, was not the cast, but a lot of times the use of the cast. It was kind of like they were just there. It's like, oh crap, we need to put Pete in. Throw Pete in real quick. Which, I have a suggestion for you. If you're curious about what happened to the actor that played Pete Ross in Smallville, don't Google him. You will see it didn't turn out well. You will see things you can't unsee. Just take for granted that Pete Ross he's still alive.
He's not going to be anywhere.
No,
anytime
no,
soon.
he's not. No. Except for the back room at Major Video.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah, a lot of people, like we talked about earlier, a lot of people complained about not having Batman. We didn't need him. The show was solid. It didn't need him.
The show wasn't about Superman or Batman.
No.
You had that one episode that basically that's all you needed.
Yes.
Where the limousine, technically,
Yeah.
it was them heading off.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, it didn't have to be, so.
And like we said earlier about the great way that they took lesser care, Booster Gold.
Loved it.
I would have traded that one episode of Booster Gold for 13 episodes of Batman. I'm sorry, that Booster Gold episode was one of the, not just because I love me some Booster Gold, that was a solid episode.
It was. It was great.
The way they handled Booster, thank you. It was actually Jeff Johns. That was his baby. And if anybody else would have tried to write that episode, it wouldn't have turned out nearly as good.
Yeah.
And it worked. It worked for the for that whole situation.
The costume, skeets, that was the other complaint that we've read from people was it seemed like everybody else in the CW universe got their costumes right. or had their costumes.
Or was like a character, was like a
Yeah.
superhero.
Whereas it should have been, Superman, and then we branched out to see him inspire people. He didn't have to. Booster Gold was the perfect example of why it was that Superman didn't need the costume to be an inspiration. It wasn't Clark that inspired Booster, that Michael John Carter, to be a hero. It was Clark that did it.
Yeah.
And Green Arrow. I mean, he just the way that Clark, not Superman, inspired everybody to be better. His cousin Ollie was one of the big ones. I mean, Ollie would be.
He changed.
Yeah, Ollie
His
would
character
be.
totally changed.
Yeah, Ollie would still probably be drunk in an alley doing street fighting if it wasn't for Clark, believing in him the way he did.
Yeah, it was a long tenure.
Yeah. Any highlights for you? Do you want to?
The best part of the whole season, or the whole series, was the Legion.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm a
gosh,
Legion
how
fan.
can we not mention
and brought the
the
Legion
Legion?
in. Yeah, we didn't
Yeah.
even mention
Oh
that.
my gosh, yeah.
And then the influence it had throughout. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. There's 10 years, over 200 episodes, and it's pretty easy to miss one.
Yeah. Jared, you highlights?
I loved season 4 and 5 were great for me. Season 9 was my favorite.
So I gotta go with you. Season 9.
I loved season 9. It just took a completely different. It took a U-turn from seasons 7 and 8. I wasn't a big fan of 7 and 8 myself. They had. You had to watch 5 episodes to watch a single episode.
Right.
During those 2 seasons.
It was easy
You
to
miss
get
one-
lost.
Yeah, you miss one episode, you're lost.
Yeah.
That just wasn't very good to me. And then season 9, you could sit down, watch an episode. If you have to go to work on a Friday night and miss an episode and catch it next week, you're good.
Yeah.
You know.
It just showed how the show evolved. Like another thing Justin had mentioned was he could, and it wasn't until I read what he wrote that it really made sense. Was the first few seasons of Smallville were very reminded you a lot of the first few seasons of Buffy, the Vampire Slayer, the TV show by Joss Whedon. Whereas it started off as a freak of the week. That was the catchphrase for years. Was that where Smallville for the first couple of years was really just about the freak of the week. Was okay, here's farm boy Timmy. How did the meteor affect him? It happens that Clark needed to develop this power. It was a great way to show action in Smallville. But it really, after the first few seasons, it really evolved from Freak of the Week, like Buffy did, from Freak of the Week to Smallville and Metropolis. It didn't rely on the Freak of the Week anymore.
At least Smallville High didn't get destroyed.
Yeah, yeah. Another fault of the show that we have to kind of mention was Clark was in college for like a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, what happened to that? Because that's where he met James Marsden, who ended up being Brainiac.
Yeah. Yeah, college just.
Where did college go? I want some deleted footage of it. Did we get a college graduation?
No, I think he dropped out
He
to
dropped
help
out,
his
yeah.
mom on the farm.
That's true. That's
That's right.
After Jonathan died.
Yeah.
See, I love the show, and I mean, 10 years. I can't remember what I did. I can't remember what I said just 10 minutes ago. Much less an episode I saw 10 years ago. Thank you, DVDs. But yeah, it was just kind of like, how did the farm boy get to be a reporter at the Daily Planet? Being a college dropout.
Stay in college.
Stay in school, kids. It's not going to work for you like it did him.
Because you wind up on a web show 20 years later.
College education right here, buddy. But yeah, I mean, like I said, we take the good with the bad. Was there faults? I gotta say some of the highlights for me. Dr. Swan, Christopher. Oh,
Yeah, that was good.
I'm not gonna lie. I damn. When he came, I wept because I'm old school. I love Superman 1, 2, like 3, tolerate 4. But to me, Christopher Reeve was the embodiment. He was, is, and will always be to me Superman. And to see him, to make that effort to be on the show, and the way that they wrote him in, it wasn't just like, oh man, we need a reason to throw Christopher Reeves in just to make the fans happy. Here you go.
He wasn't his long lost uncle or something.
No, and he, oh God, if you get a chance to go back and watch those episodes, those were just phenomenal.
They were.
Another highlight for me was Alice and Max, Chloe. I love Chloe.
I haven't met a person that doesn't like Chloe. She's probably one of the best on the show.
She was, not just from being cute, but I loved her character. It really confused the hell out of people the first few seasons where it's like, why is he really, now, I'm not just saying this because I hate Kristen Krug, but why is he pining over Lana when he's got Chloe? And just, you want to talk about evolution, seeing Chloe go from the frumpy sweater damsel in distress to full-on hottie who was kicking ass, you know. I mean, she was the core.
Yeah.
She was Oracle in the show.
To mom.
To mom. Yeah, she was the to mom.
That kind of was a little throw off there.
I did. I liked that. I was not expecting that when I saw Chloe sitting there in bed with it was like, you know, she's reading the Smallville comic. Which
Yes,
if you,
DC, come on.
Which if you try to put to logic,
Yeah,
I'm like,
print
she's,
that.
you know, it's like wait a minute, she's telling her son the exact origin of Superman. I really hope they're changed the name in the comic, but it was cute, it was touching, and the scene at the very end where the little boy looks over, he sees the bow and arrow. Oh, come on now, man, that was just precious.
See, I got nervous when I first saw that.
Because
Because I thought, wait, is she like in the real world now, and she dreamt
Yeah.
all of this, or she was a writer for DC Comics, or
were they pulling? Because
I've seen some of these happen before, like that.
Star Trek
yeah.
Enterprise. There was a perfect way of showing how they kind of pissed a lot of fanboys off, where evidently the entire episode was just Will Riker going through the holodeck.
Yeah.
It's like, is that what happened? You know, is
I was nervous, seriously. I'll take that. When I saw that, it's like, wait a second.
yeah, but it makes sense because if you live in Superman's universe, there's going to be a comic book.
Yeah.
And I love the little, like I said, I love the little touch with the bow because it's Ollie. You know what I mean? Because you're sitting there, she's reading to her son. It's 7 years later. There's always been a little friction between Ollie and you know her about being together, but just to see the bow and arrow, it's like
Yeah.
that was a real quick way of
something
making fans happy. It's like
Yeah.
that was
Plus,
me.
it doesn't say it did happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say.
It could have left it open. Yeah, she might have married Joe Schmo, but gave the son the bow and arrow as a
To her best friend who
Yeah.
something happened or something.
Yeah.
You just never know.
me and my CW, Lana or Chloe and Oliver got married. That's all there is to it. That's what's going to help me get to sleep at night.
Okay. I think we've been rambling.
Yeah, it was a hard not to. It's like
10 years.
10 years.
I know.
You know how hard it is for a show to make it a couple years anymore? I mean, all the shows that you get attached to that are getting
I just got
canceled.
attached to Breaking and it got canceled
I know.
already.
Damn you for breaking. 'Cause what was funny was going to a Smallville tie-in was Michael Rosenbaum was on we'll just say it was attacking a show just a few days ago to talk about Breaking and Smallville, and you could really tell Kevin had no idea.
Yeah.
Because he had because he's talking about Breaking, and Michael Rosenbaum just goes, "Yeah, Breaking got canceled," and you saw Kevin go, "Are you serious?" "Yeah, I'm dead serious." Done.
Yeah. And I actually thought it was a good.
I did
good
too.
series,
I
but
lo-
we digress off of Smallville, but
Yeah.
but it ties into Smallville.
And look up real quick because Michael Rosenbaum had said if you look up Twitter, it's like savebreaking.com
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something. Man, save that show. But like we said, you see, what I heard even V's getting canceled.
Yeah.
All these shows you get attached to, you almost feel like you can't get attached to a show anymore because it's only going to make it a couple years.
Yeah.
10 years solid. There was no 2 or 3 year break. It wasn't that the show got canceled and the fans had to rally to get it together. It was
Yeah, it never
solid.
really was wavy. It was there.
It was
People
always
watched
there. We didn't get a 8-episode season because we weren't quite sure it was gonna. It was a full 10 years.
It was a touch and go a couple times. Though.
yeah.
It was.
You just didn't know for sure.
Yeah.
But it was there. It's
Yeah.
it's done and
We really got to see a huge evolution over 10 years of seeing Tom Welling, who I don't think they could have picked a better Clark Kent. I really don't. I love Tom Welling as Clark Kent. He embodied him. To me, I would almost, my personal opinion, I like I said earlier, Christopher Reeves embodied Superman, and he embodied the adult Clark Kent, the bumbling Clark Kent. Tom Welling, to me, represents the young growing up.
Yep.
It was more the newer set.
Right.
John Byrne kind of placed that in place, that he
Right.
wasn't really the bumbling person in high school.
Yeah.
He was a football star. He was this,
Yeah.
he was that in high school. He wasn't your nerd in the corner
Yeah.
wanting to be a reporter. That was kind of weird. The reporter part had to be thrown into him later.
Yeah.
It was mainly Chloe's influence.
Yeah.
Which was kind of different because in the original comic, he was always wanting to be a reporter and stuff.
Right.
So they changed it a little bit. Which,
Again, God bless Chloe. God, 10 years. I mean, it was a great run. Literally, I really am. I'm sad to see it go because we need to have, that one thing, every week to look forward to, week after week for 10 years, to know that it's not going to be there anymore. But at least we went out on a high note. It wasn't canceled.
Yeah.
It
got to finish its story.
It got to finish its story. It got to set out to do and be everything that we wanted to see from day one.
it was what it was supposed to be.
It was what it was supposed to be.
It was Clark Kent.
It was all about the Clark, and
And Superman was saved for the finale.
yes, we did get to see what we wanted to see.
And to see Lois looking out of the airplane
Oh.
when he first comes out, that was to me was
That was iconic.
yeah.
That was iconic. That was genuine pride. I don't think that was just Erica Durant's acting proud.
It was what is yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been surprised if he was in some kind of mock costume. And after her being on the show for so long, and probably just like every other fan wanting to see that moment, I wouldn't have doubted that was probably her first time.
Yeah, it could be.
Because there was just that level of pride that was in her eyes, and
It was the best way.
it was the best way. Yeah. So 10 years done and over with.
Yeah. I think this is a good episode. I think we need to start wrapping this up.
Okay. Real quick though, if you get a chance to, you can probably pick up the first few seasons of Smallville pretty much because it's been 10 years, pretty dirt cheap by now. I'd
Yeah.
say
You
10,
can get them for
20.
like 10, 15 bucks. a
You
piece.
can't go wrong if you.
Or if you just want some favorite episodes, like they're all available on iTunes.
iTunes.
Yeah,
So if you
iTunes
don't-
already has the finale.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we're on iTunes too.
Yeah, that's a
I
perfect
just want to
segue
throw that out
way to
real
end the
quick.
show. Just a final, I got 2 words for the people who were responsible for the finale of Smallville. Thank you. That was. Thank you. That's all I gotta say is thank you. That was. I've seen a lot of shows end. Cheer. That was perfect. Thank you, Smallville, for the last 10 years. And segue, Richard.
As I was saying, just make sure catch us on iTunes and go to our Facebook page. We would like to hear from you.
Yes.
This got us a lot of response for this episode, and for all our episodes, we'd like to hear from you and find out what you guys think. So please find us there.
Yeah. Speaking of Facebook, one of our readers or one of our watchers, Justin Wasson, was gracious enough to write us his thoughts and feelings and takes on the last 10 years of Smallville.
So we're going to post all that.
We're going to post, Justin. We're going to post your entire. If you don't mind, we're going to post your entire note because it's a beautiful note. I couldn't have done it justice because I'm still I'm a little emotional about the show being over, and I wouldn't have been able to do it justice. We tried to touch on it a little bit. And your words deserve to be read, and it will be up on our Facebook page.
And that's about it for this. I think we've talked a lot.
Yeah.
But this was well deserved. It was 10
Yeah.
years. It was 10 years.
And this wasn't just us mentioning the end of Smallville because it was a thing to do. We are fans of it. If you can't tell, come on, seriously, you guys watch the show enough to know. You know me. That was my show. I love the show, and I couldn't do it justice in 5 minutes.
No.
I had to ramble. You don't just say, thanks for 10 years. It was good. All right, see you later. But
Okay.
So
We do have to go.
we do have to go now. So because I have Smallville's finale DVR'd, and I really want to watch the last 10 minutes again. So.
Well, guys, thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for being on.
Later.